I'm Jennifer Smith.
And I'm Melva Jones,
and we are Women's Health in Black and White. We are talking today about parts as parts.
And parts as parts.
We're going to talk about the female anatomy. We can't really talk about healthcare unless we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And when someone says to me, I have a problem down there, well, my goodness, that could be your toenail. I need to know more specific.
Right.
A lot of people weren't paying attention in biology class or were actively taught not to talk about their own body parts, to use euphemisms instead of real words, and that hurts us.
Yeah.
That hurts us when we're trying to talk about our health, because I need to know where you hurt and you need to be able to tell me without being embarrassed.
Right.
So
and using the real term.
Yes, please use the real terms. I've had people call their private parts a pocketbook.
Yes, purse.
Yeah, purse. Whoville.
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 All
One time.
kinds of different things.
Which ruined Dr. Seuss for me. But I'm gonna need what I need most from my patients is for them to have a vocabulary that we can both understand.
Yeah.
And using the technical medical term, while it might be uncomfortable at first, helps us to figure out what you need. So let's talk about what our parts are called.
Yes.
Very frequently, everything in the female genitalia is referred to as the vagina. That's incorrect. The vagina is a small part of the female genitalia. It is there, of course, and it's important, but everything is not the vagina. So this is the external female genitalia. The part that you can see when a woman is standing is mons pubis, pubic hair, and maybe her labia, her vulva. And a lot of people will say that's the vagina. It isn't.
No.
Okay, the green part right here, that is the external labia, the labia majora. The internal lips, the labia minora, is in orange. This pink part here, that is the actual vaginal opening. That is the vagina. That is where the baby comes out. That is where the penis goes in. That is the vaginal canal. This little yellow part right here, that's the clitoris. That is the organ of pleasure. That is the only organ in the body that is designed for nothing but pleasure. It looks small, and externally it is small, but there's a lot going on internally.
Yeah.
There are arms of the clitoris that sort of wrap around the birth canal, and that allows penetration to be pleasurable. That's where a woman gets her sexual satisfaction and orgasm. There's this part right here, which is called the perineum. It's the space, the muscle and skin between the vaginal opening and the rectum. This is where, if you have to have stitches during childbirth, probably that's where they were. If you have something called an episiotomy, an artificial cut made to make the birth canal a little bit bigger, that's where that cut's going to be. There are little things that you can't see here too. Glands that produce moisture for the vagina, the Bartholin gland, the Skene's gland, and those things can become clogged, backed up, and cause painful cysts to develop. It's easy to fix. Don't be embarrassed about it. We can make it better, but don't live with it either, because it becomes quite painful.
Yes.
And this tiny little blue thing right there, this is where your catheter goes if you're in labor. This is where your urine comes out.
Right.
This is the urethra. It is the tube that leads from the outside of your body to your bladder. And if we put a catheter in here, the baby can still come out here. It actually works quite well.
Those people, it's not the same area, okay? So that's a very good concept to take with you. There are there's 3 different holes, but
3 different holes?
Urethra and your vagina is not the same thing. So you can have a baby with a catheter.
You sure can. Now, usually, when you get ready to push, we take the catheter out.
Yes.
But you can still have a baby with a catheter in. That's the outside part. This is the inside part, and this is a very simplistic drawing. This is just to give you a rough idea of where everything is. I'm going to show you the internal female reproductive system through this wonderful book, The Facts of Life. It's a great pop-up book. And we'll go into this in detail as we get further along, because this really is one of my favorite things that I own.
Right.
But this is the female reproductive system inside. So the vaginal canal, that birth canal, is right here. This little area right here, this little dimple that's closed when you're not having a baby, is your cervix. And your cervix, you can see, is very long and thick right here. That's because this uterus is nowhere near having a baby. It goes from quite long and thick, as long and as thick as my finger, to as thin as a sheet of paper and open 10 centimeters, about the size of a bagel. So the next time you're wondering if you are an amazing person, you are, because you can do this. This is the uterine cavity where the baby grows. And this is the endometrium, this thick lining right here. This is what sheds when you have a period. This is why you bleed. You have this big thick lining before you conceive. And if you do not conceive, you got to get rid of that, so you're just left with the musculature. These tubes are fallopian tubes, and they lead to the uterus from these structures right here, these egg-shaped structures called ovaries. Your ovary produces an egg. The egg moves into this little flowery thing right here, which is the mouth of the fallopian tube, through the fallopian tube and into your uterus. And somewhere along this pathway, if you're going to get pregnant, it encounters sperm. And then the egg and the sperm form the baby and lodge in the uterine cavity. And that is your insides. And now you know what to call it all.
All the proper names.
These are the parts. We are going to give away a copy of this wonderful book. If you will like and comment and subscribe before midnight on June 6th, you're going to be entered in a drawing to get this a copy of this fantastic book.
And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.